This is Calcat the Calcatster, and welcome to these. We're the review of Starfleet Academy, Episode 1. Yeah, Starfleet Academy, the series. Yeah. They've been talking about a Starfleet Academy series since I was, in Starfleet Academy. So way back. So they went with one of the Cillian characters, graduated high school in 1989. And even back then, they were talking about Starfleet Academy movie. That was what Star Trek V was going to be, but they decided not to do that. They did their own William Shatner thing instead of a Starfleet Academy movie. They were then going to do a Birth of the Federation movie. They decided not to do that on the Berman era. Many years since then. It was just after the 20th anniversary of Star Trek when they announced the original. Announced 40 years later. It's the 60th anniversary coming up next year. The whole celebration thing. So this is sort of a 60th anniversary thing, even though they've technically taken some liberties with the premise. So then we jump on to this Starfleet Academy story. I did not click on the Jessie Gender review. She likened it to a parody. I didn't click on the other ones, though there's a lot of haters. It's very tame. It's not breaking any new ground really, except for maybe visual spaceship things. There's still a lot of gray in it. Still a lot of desaturation. So I tried to make it desaturated here. Try to max that. and I found this thing in my clothing that looks a little like the captain's uniform. It's not, but it's close. So let's go into Starfleet Academy. The pilot. It's called Kids These Days. Weird title. Also the because they're clearly boomers that came up with it and then gave it to X-Gen people. It wasn't me. I didn't write it. But there's a caveat. This thing is clearly heavily influenced by channels like mine and mine. Heavily influenced. There's no question that they're even though I don't have a like and subscribe to my channel, make it match. The impact on Star Trek that the Calcatster has had is extraordinary, including plot points in this thing. They wow. Okay. It's not just. It's unlike a certain other person a decade ago that claimed he pitched for Star Trek. So our story begins with audio issues. Immediately, the normal Star Trek audio issues plaguing most of the other shows. Soft-talking people, and the audio isn't mixed right. You guys are doing a professional television show, and it's not that there's a little hard of hearing in this ear. That's not it. You can turn up the volume, right? Even if you turn up the volume, the playback is weird. It's not me. It's the playback on these shows. And you can tell because when they show an action scene, the visual thing, dynamic. They do better with the pictures. They have done better with the line of sight. They've done better with that. But the audio is just annoying. If you're gonna have them whisper in the background, don't have them talk. But so the opening scene, the main character is a lady from part Lathian lady, referencing that Lathian show. The Lathians are basically Cillians. Even though they don't have the Q in the 32nd century, they're basically Cillians. So she is a descendant of the Elijans from some Cillian group. And the one on the other show is one of them too. They're Cillians. That's what they are. Also, they have watched Fearful Symmetry. And the first officer, the Jem'Hadar lady, Jem'Hadar, a woman, female Jem'Hadar, female Vora, is literally out of Fearful Symmetry, the fan films. So they probably watched the aired Silly Trek fan film 2 years ago when we heard that. They probably watched that. Like, oh, cool! They have a lady Vorta. Let's do that. It wasn't so much they were listening to the channel; they just watched my stuff. Oh, cool! That's a thing, right? Let's do that. Fine, cool. We have Robert Picardo returning. So we actually knew 2 years ago Robert Picardo was going to be in the show, and that's what he told us at the convention, the first Galaxy Con of San Jose. And it was like a secret, but now we can now it's obviously out. he's playing the Doctor like 800 years later, and then they aged him up. They had a line in there. There's all kinds of new characters on the bridge and all kinds of new cadets on the ship, and they introduce them and they make a point to say, "I want to get to know the entire bridge crew." The captain lady says that, the Lathian. But in the story, she's clearly the actress here playing this other one is in her 60s. And that's an interesting casting, putting the captain be in her 60s already. She should be Admiral something or other. But no, captain. Probably should have made her an admiral. But that's fine. Chancellor of the Academy. The Starfleet Academy starts again 120 years after the... it's been 120 years since all that other stuff happened. There was the burn in space, and that was caused by Sukal, who was a Cillian of Saru's race, the Kelpians, and he had Q powers, and he zapped the universe and blew up all the warp drive by accident because he was upset because his mother died. This is kind of the reverse of that in this story, and they have sort of a sort of the reverse of that. So they have like a mother and son separated by a Starfleet 15 years earlier would have been during the burn times. So they established that that Starfleet is kind of acting a little fascist, and at that point, a little bit. They completely ignore any trans or gay characters in this, but they should bring them back because maybe there wasn't a mandate. That totally was not a mandate. They just didn't know what to do with them. If you're not going to do Gray and Adira correctly, just don't. But they didn't really do that correctly. It does beg the question though. If you think like time travel stuff like that, go back. If you went back 700 years from now, this is the 21st century. If you went back to the 13th century, you wouldn't be able to understand anybody, and you would immediately get sick. So if you go 700 years in the future, or 1,000 years in the future, then you're really 32nd century. You're gonna not only not understand anybody, it's gonna be completely different. All the type settings, all the typefaces, all the people talking, they're gonna talk in a language that's completely different from. I'm assuming the universal translator is translating the story so we can understand it. Yeah. Yeah, but yes, my first thoughts. Except for the audio problems, the visuals are fine. There's not too many of that framing issue. The characters are well done. They don't say bruh every other word like certain Cameron movies. That's really annoying because kids don't actually talk like that. 20-year-olds talk like that. They're wrong. A little older than that. The Academy generation are the writing guys. But no, kids do not say bruh all the time. Unfortunately, in this show, they did not say bruh at all. Not really. But they did say shit a lot, which was funny. And bitch, which was funny. And other words. But yeah, some of the setups are a little much, and like the a-hole sort of guy that's a part alien that turns into becomes like metal. He's basically partly a transformer. He's Borg, I guess. He can go out in space for a little while and come back in. Part Borg. I didn't say he was Borg, but that's kind of probably what he is. But yeah, he's partly a Borg, a Cillian Borg. He would be one of the zombie aliens from our series, right there. The zombie Borg guys. He's a alien Nintendo's. There's like several of my characters in this. It's weird. Including that Jem'Hadar lady. It's totally like, she's got the attitude of Crass, the Klingon lady, but she's got the Jem'Hadar lady thing of that other character, the Bea, the Teok character. Thrown in there. Also, we have a Far-Outian. We have a Far-Outian who is one of the, who apparently is the captured bad guy, the main one. He's a Far-Outian. He's from Far Out, and they don't say that, but that's what he is. And he has some technical abilities already for some reason. That's a little odd. But yeah, Star Trek cadets always have technical abilities. They just know things. He was a prisoner like for 15 years. Also, many of the critics complained about the whistling scene. And apparently they heard, so they redubbed out the whistle so that it wasn't. He's not humming the Star Trek tune. He does whistle, Giamatti's character. He does whistle, but not the Star Trek tune. He just whistles something. And then there's that weird song at the end, with that weird Flowers in Your Hair song. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm from near San Francisco. I'm like an hour away. I've never heard that song. I don't know where that song comes from. Never heard it. That's weird. They had KOME radio back in the day. They had Wolf now. They have other ones, other stations. I've never heard Flowers in Your Hair song. Yeah, so you think at first that it's like a Kobayashi Maru thing, and it's not. It's Giamatti's character in the story. I'm going all roundabout, but why not? New show, why not? Sort of 60th anniversary, even though it's 59th and a half. Going around we have the title crawl. They didn't have any credits. That was weird. So basically, they go on. They launch the Academy ship after they get the prisoner kid out of prison. Very much like Voyager with Janeway. Very much a Voyager Janeway thing. That's what's going on. Very much like that. With Paris, Tom Paris. Originally, that was supposed to be Nicholas Locarno, but they decided he was irredeemable. They kind of did that with this guy. He's kind of Locarno in a way. He's kind of, he's redeemed because he was in a prison. That's what I did with Nick Locarno in my 2019 story, which so I do fan films, and Star Trek is still continuing to crib from my fan films, even to this day. Now, I did start in 2019 with the fan films actually on YouTube, but they were role-playing games going back to high school when I was like 15 in the 80s. So, anyway, so yeah, I'm trying to roundabout back to this show here. So you have, basically you have Giamatti's character. None of the names really stick. It's kind of a problem. Hurd's character kind of sticks. Kay, is their name. There's this disconnect with the names because they did try to make the names sound weird and ethereal. Like I wouldn't be surprised if another Cal shows up, a Mark's card shows up, but I wouldn't be surprised if Locarno shows up. But yeah. So they go on this thing, and on a mission. They're bringing the ship back from this other planet. It's the Athena. It looks a little like the Discovery. It's kind of weird. It also looks like one of those old lady brooches, kind of like they were doing with Section 31, set in 2324. But it's a different kind of brooch. It's not a flower brooch. It's the long train one that you put on. Usually it's an award for it's not Toastmasters, but like UN or something. It's a UN thing. That's how. The fact that it looks like a brooch is funny. Or a large paperclip thing from the side is funny. It is visually interesting. And it is a transformer, so it's tied into Transtech as well. It's a transformer. It transforms. So clearly they have contact with Robotech and Transformers, and they've made contact with them over the years. But yeah, the ship goes on a mission. They go near the Badlands. They find this area, this bad guy, who was the bad guy from earlier. There's no foreshadowing in this at all. And he's like, I'm going to trap your ship, and I put these programmable matter bombs on the ship. We thought of that. We did that too. What did they use? A programmable matter as bombs. Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, and there's but it's not directly. It's indirectly. It's like nods. There's a bunch of nods. I would agree with Jesse Gender's review that it is a spoof. It is a parody. It is not meant to be a serious Star Trek series. It is like the Silly Trek, the on Starship Locations. It's an homage. It's saying that Star Trek stuff is fun. Let's do this. Let's play Star Trek. The character there's a Klingon med student. There, that's actually kind of funny. Yeah. He's. Then we have. Then we have a hologrammatic girl who is basically Tej, discovering the human experience. Tej, as well as a hologram type of thing, a data proxy basically. We have they've mixed up alien races, and we have a girl who is clearly the breakout character who is. So there's a character like Matrix in this. There's a character like newer Locarno in this. There's a character like the other ones. Been rejuvenated after the zombie attack. So yeah, they had to be sure not to do what they were doing. And this is only this one. So they have to get out of the situation they're in. The characters, the doctor, there's something happened to Dal-Rel. I don't know what. Became a captain. Nog shouldn't still be a commander on that wall in the background in that one scene. He should be Admiral Nog, because in order for him to be remembered and have a ship named after him, Admiral Nog. So they have to correct that. It wouldn't just be a commander. Also, Captain Freeman would be higher rank, I would think. Yeah, she wouldn't just be a captain. Yeah, Admiral Freeman. Nick Locarno needs to be up there. But yes, let's see what Tom Paris. It's kind of funny that they showed Harry Kim and he was still like not a captain. That's messed up. Guys, come on. Okay. No, he was supposed to be a captain in the other timeline. That's what this kind of looks like. This kind of looks like the 2400s Star Trek thing a little bit. Oh. 2400s. All good things. Yeah. They go on the mission, they gotta escape. The Jem'Hadar Klingon lady is wounded. They gotta triage her. They do like the triage thing, which is a lot like the Discovery pilot. The war going on, the Discovery pilot did something like that with Freeman. Oh, with Mariner. I keep saying Freeman. Why didn't they send them back though? That's weird. They messed up with Calypso because it was originally they got the Calypso guys to write the last season of Discovery and they messed up. So they're like, oh, it's 1,000 years later now. We're going to do it 1,000 years after that. Originally, the plan was when they got to the 32nd century, originally what they were going to do was the 3190, 191, something like that. So the 32nd century, not the 33rd. And they were going to say, okay, Mariner was going to meet up with Kraft, and the ship would have been adrift for 1,000 years. And it was going to be Kraft's transforming ship and Kraft. He's going to meet up with him. And they were going to find the crew and assemble the crew on the ship. And then they decided, okay, that doesn't really make sense, because then where did they go? And yeah, they got to go find the crew. That would take longer. They could have done that. They could have done that bird thing. But they didn't, so they just wanted to say, okay, only a year went by, so they messed up that timeline. So they're all like, oh, okay, then how about the end of Discovery Season 5, let's just have them, say it's 1,000 years later, and they put the ship out there. That screws it up. That's not what they were going to do. So when they change things, yeah. But yes, so Starfleet Academy, and I was not involved with Starfleet Academy, but presence is felt on the set over there in Toronto. Presence is felt on the set. My goodness. Is Paul Giamatti basically playing Jamie Messi? Because he kind of sounds like him. He's basically playing Jamie from our series. He's playing Jamie. A little bit of Harry Mudd in there. A little bit of that. supposed to be a Klingerite he's sitting with. He seems to be having a lot of fun and being the bad guy. It's fine as a pilot. It works. It's a little too far in the future, and they don't really use and utilize the stuff in the future to a degree that it would be that advanced. But they try, and I'll give them credit for trying. Hopefully it's not cringe, as the kids say. Somewhere in there, 6'7". Now that's the little kids. Paul Giamatti's character could also kind of be Mr. Story, but kind of. But I would say the Admiral is probably more like that. I'd say the Admiral is like a Cal-Cat proxy in this. Just kind of comes in and says, here's your marching orders. So Sylvia Tilly, the character spin-off, was the idea, the Mary Wiseman character. And I guess she's going to show up in the next one. I don't know. We'll find out. And yeah, the opening scene, it's fine. You can tell a lot of the use of the screen, the big screen. You can tell it looks like a big screen. But it's fine. You can tell that they also used dorms and sets from an existing building as well. My guess is somewhere in Canada. I don't know. That's where they filmed it. And that they had that weird Toronto Bridge Kirk episode where they were like, oh, let's just go outside and film, and yeah. That's fine. I guess that maybe Toronto, or was the other one? Toronto's like middle. Okay. This might be on the other side. Let's go on to the next one, because other than the classic plot of they have to survive an attack by a Kobayashi Maru type of thing, but it's actually real. It's not a test. This episode is called Kids These Days, and yeah, there's my roundabout review, but recap of the Cillian universe, just so you know. We will do more somewhere else. We'll do more.